G'day YouTube, 1MJ here and welcome back. Right, Saturday morning here in Australia. We can see the market cap, 1.85, $1 trillion. So we're still just kind of hovering around that, 1.8 trillion down to sometimes sort of 1.5 trillion depending on what's happening. Now we are obviously in the process, we are now obviously into the weekend, and I'm saying, but what I meant to say was we are now waiting to see if the traditional weekend, retracement is going to come in. What's it going to be? Was this it? Was that the weekend retracement? Is it just going to be 0.6 or is it likely going to be more? I do get the feeling we probably go under 57,000 some stage this weekend. But, nothing's guaranteed in life. We'll just have to wait and see. But generally, we do have a retracement of at least a couple of $1,000. And if there's any CME gap that gets made, we generally come back and cover that as well. But let's have a look. BTC dominance is actually dropping. So now it's under 59%. So that's interesting. ETH dominance is dropping though as well. And gas prices around about 130. All right, bit of a mixed bag, particularly in the last 24 hours anyway. We can see a lot of red, little bit of green in the 24-hour volume, and a little bit in the 7 days as well. But let's have a look. What's really pumped? Has anything really pumped is probably a good question. I'm sure something has. All right, PondiX, there we go, doing quite well. BitTorrent. I mean, look at that, 50% in 24 hours is quite good, and PondiX over 100% in 7 days. Harmony's doing well, Reserve Right Token, Avalanche, Holo, Crypto.com, Uniswap, Siacoin, Tron. So some pretty good gains there, and really, Reserve Right, we can just round that up to 15%. And the top ones, so there's about 4 or 5 of them there, that's some pretty good gains. Again, I've said this before, for me, anything over 15% in 24 hours is a pretty good gain in cryptocurrencies. And definitely you're going 50%. That's quite good gains. All right. So now we know there's been some coins that have gained, but what about some coins that have lost? Has there been any big ones? And no, there hasn't. Engine pulled back 6.1%, still up, nearly 40% for the week, and, much more over the last sort of couple of weeks. Swissborg, bit of a pullback. Chili's, well, that was always going to happen, but look, nothing too major. Pulled back 5%, still up nearly, it's 70%, but, if you were rounding up, you could round that up to nearly 100% for 7 days. So doing quite well. And look, all these losses, though, they're very, very, low losses. Very, very minor. But we've still got sort of Sunday to come, and that's generally where we sort of, see the retracement if we obviously haven't seen it earlier. But there are weekends where it doesn't happen. So very small kind of retracements, and a couple of nice gains, and the others were just fairly reasonable gains. Let's have a look at the Bitcoin chart. What's it going to tell us? All right, so we can see we've still got this wedging pattern, and I drew this in the other day, and now we're still sort of tied in there. I do think we're going to come back down and touch this base sort of somewhere down here. I think there'll definitely be a wick, whether it's actually going to come down. So, at the moment, it'd have to come down to, where are we? Around about sort of 54,000. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Could, but I definitely think it might be sort of tomorrow or the next day after, because we've got to remember this is Saturday here in Australia, which is still sort of Friday over in the States and that. So I think it's more going to be sort of somewhere over here that we might come down and touch around the kind of $55,000 range. That would not surprise me at all. But what we can see is there's a bit of volume here and some sort of steady volume. So really people are buying the dips at the moment. That's what I can see here. It's quite steady sort of around about, sort of there. Anything that dips down is getting bought up quite quickly. But the buyers aren't jumping in at the higher prices at the moment. That's all that's happening. When it dips down, when it wicks down, being bought up, but people aren't buying into the high prices. And this is generally what we call, it's just kind of ranging. This is where it's forming a base. And eventually, if people keep buying the dip, it has no other option than to kind of push higher, because people will keep buying the dip a little bit higher and a little bit higher and a little bit higher. That's the way it works. They're just not willing to jump in at the big prices, and there's no big volume being bought up at the moment. There's going to be some kind of catalyst, some kind of news story that's going to come out, and that's most likely going to play a part in pushing it, to the next sort of level. And again, for me, I really do think it's going to be up around this $80,000 mark. I think we're going to have trouble getting through the $80,000 mark, and I think we're really going to struggle to get through the $100,000 mark. And once we get close to 100,000, I would not be surprised if we saw a dip that brought us almost way back down to this $50,000, $60,000 mark. Again, never financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I have no qualifications whatsoever in that realm, but that's just my gut feeling. I think a lot of people are going to be happy to sell Bitcoin at around about $100,000. And, I guess the kind of smart money, they're going to do it a little bit before $100,000. And in all fairness, they're going to have been dollar cost averaging out anyway. That's what, the smart money does. They dollar cost average in, and they dollar cost average out. They don't just simply try and buy the tops and buy the bottoms. It's too hard. No one can pick the markets, and if you get it wrong, then you either miss out on a lot of profit or you get absolutely wrecked and don't basically end up selling for a loss. So just remember that. That's what the smart money does. They're dollar cost averaging in and they're dollar cost averaging out. And you can still be dollar cost averaging into, say, Bitcoin, but also selling at the same time, because you're selling your old Bitcoin that maybe you bought for 10,000 and you're selling it at 50,000 while still bringing new money in and waiting for that to go up. I know it seems kind of strange, but that can be done. It's a strategy. It may not be the best strategy, but it's definitely a strategy that people utilize. And again, smart money, like I said, they do dollar cost average in and they dollar cost average out. But generally, they're going to get to a point where they stop dollar cost averaging into that project. They're going to find something else that they believe is really a good buy-in. They're not going to dollar cost average into Bitcoin at 100,000 unless they believe it's going to 400,000. Then they absolutely would. But really, I would say if you think something's going to, if it's, let's say Bitcoin's 100,000, if you think it's going to 400,000, I would dollar cost average in all the way up to 200,000. And then I would stop dollar cost averaging in. Then I would simply start to dollar cost average out after that. Again, depending on what price I'd bought in and all the rest of it. Again, never financial advice, just my personal opinion. But the Bitcoin chart, I do think we're getting ready to make another move up. And I will say it again, I think somewhere in the kind of 90s, and look, it might even be down around the $84,000 mark. It could come a lot earlier. I think we're going to get some heavy resistance around there, and we could possibly see a 30, 40, maybe even 50% correction. Maybe. All right, moving on. A couple interesting stories. So the UK watchdog bans a Bitcoin advert for irresponsibly promoting investments in the cryptocurrency sort of asset stream. All right, the United Kingdom's Advertising Standards Authority, so the ASA, has banned CoinFloor's Bitcoin advert for irresponsibly promoting investments in the crypto asset. I guess we've got to read on a little bit further. The watchdog claimed the crypto exchange's marketing campaign had targeted pensioners who were unlikely to know much about the topic. All right, we need to kind of think through that and pick that apart a little bit. Pensioners, generally older people, so I do kind of agree with that. But also, they need to get acclimated with it. They need to have it brought to their attention. So yeah, I'm in two minds about that. I guess pensioners, depending on how you're looking at it, retirees. I mean, I couldn't imagine they're going after pensioners, which is we call, people on the old age sort of pension, but retirees, that's, who has most of the money, that's not a bad place to advertise. But I do kind of agree that they're generally older and they're probably going to have a lot of trouble understanding how it all works. So yeah, I'm in two minds about that. Yes, we need to be careful, people targeting the older generation who have most of the money with these new kind of things, particularly like cryptocurrency. But also, you can't just say, no, we won't ever tell them about cryptocurrencies and have them completely miss out on the gains that can be made. So yeah, in two minds about that. The ASA's ruling comes after the regulator received 2 complaints concerning the advert. Right, so this is over in the UK. 2 people out of the entire UK complain it, and they go and ban the advert. Not sure how I feel about it. Again, yeah, I'm in two minds. I don't want the elderly preyed upon, but they have the bulk of the money in the world, really, and they shouldn't simply be excluded from cryptocurrencies. But I agree, we need to be careful with how we go about that. So interesting that Bitcoin is kind of on this big movement at the moment, but people are still being, again, depending on how you want to look at it, protected or hidden from it. Yeah. Again, moving on. All right. So I spoke about a story a little while ago there where there was a company overseas in Europe, I can't remember, and they were basically heating your house, and they were using the byproduct of Bitcoin mining to do it, so you could heat your house and possibly make profits at the same time. Here's another story. So the Wise Mining Sato boiler, a product that aims to heat your home and offset costs by mining Bitcoin. Love this. In just over 2 weeks, a company called Wise Mining plans to launch a new product called Sato, a boiler that can provide heat to a home by leveraging ASIC mining rigs for heat production. It also means that the heater provides a revenue in the form of cryptocurrency, which offsets the cost of heating home a great deal. So again, it just says offsets the cost, so it probably won't make profit, depending on sort of where you are and how hard you're trying to heat your house and all the rest of it. But I do like this as a new way of trying to offset the electricity that's used, because we all need to heat our homes in winter if we live in a cold place. Why not mine Bitcoin at the same time? And even if it doesn't completely offset it, outside of what's the word I'm looking for? Solar panels and that, which may not work in some places due to it's snowing too hard and all the rest of it. They may not work as well. Then yeah, I'm all for this. I think this is innovative. I think this is smart thinking. I think this is the way of the future for crypto mining. There's probably going to be crypto miners in our cars because they create electricity and things like that. Again, there's a number of industries that have excess energy that doesn't get used, whether it's in heat or other things like that, and I think they're all going to be put towards Bitcoin mining in the future as well. I really do think this is the future, and I love what they're doing here. All right, Bitcoin hash rate hits an all-time high. So during the last week, the Bitcoin network's hash rate has jumped to a record high of 185 exahash per second on March 14th. The hash power has relentlessly continued to rise, climbing to a whopping 18,400% in 5 years since January 21 of 2016. So this just shows you that Bitcoin is continuing to grow. Again, I spoke about this before. Yes, there's going to be pullbacks. We're going to have bear markets. How these bear markets play out, that's for deliberation at the moment. Is this going to be the Bitcoin super cycle, or will it simply repeat itself? Either way, Bitcoin is growing and growing and growing. It's the best performing asset anyone can ever, in recorded history. Since its inception, it continues to grow, and so the hash power continues to grow. There's nothing about this that says it's going to die and it's going to zero, which is one of the popular narratives people like to sell out there. Particularly Peter Schiff. He's always like, oh, people are going to get caught out and they're going to get burnt. Yep, that's true. That's in every single market. That's in the gold market. That's in the silver market. It doesn't matter what market you're in. Someone, unfortunately, buys at the top and then, most likely doesn't understand cycles and sells for a loss. Unfortunately, in cryptocurrencies, the losses are more because of the volatility. But if they do a bit of research and do buy at the top, as long as they have done the research, they will generally find, because it hasn't been proven wrong yet, it could in the future, but so far it hasn't. If you buy at the top and simply hold Bitcoin, in around about 4 years' time, you have made your money back and then probably start to go into profit again and buy substantially more. Again, not financial advice, and there's no guarantees that that plays out again in the future, but the only way we can try to predict the future is base it on history, base what's happened in the past, and that's what Bitcoin has kept doing. The charts show that. So again, yes, unfortunately, people will lose money and will get burnt there. New money, dumb money. I don't like that term, dumb money, but unfortunately, they are, educated money is, I think, a better way to describe them. And they will buy at the top, it'll go down, they'll panic and likely sell for a loss. That is unfortunate. All right, Polkadot. So the integration with, so here we go, sorry, I'll start that again. Polkadot becomes the latest to use Simplex's fiat on-ramp. The integration with Simplex will provide DOT users another route from fiat into crypto. Fiat to crypto on-ramp provider Simplex will now support Polkadot on its network of crypto exchanges, wallets and brokers. In an announcement today, Simplex said its integration of Polkadot and its DOT token would allow crypto users to purchase the token with a credit or debit card, Apple Pay or bank transfer. So it's giving you lots of ways. This is that early part. They've got to make it easily accessible at first before the masses then pour in, because if it's still a little bit hard to buy it, which it still has been, you have to go sign up at a crypto exchange and all the rest of it. Once this comes in and the KYC is done long before getting to the exchange part, this is where it starts to take off, where it's already, you've already signed up with a bank or Apple Card or Pay or something like that. You're not having to sign up for 3 different things. You just sign up for one thing. Your KYC is done, with your bank card or whatever, and then you can just simply go and buy it, and there's nothing further that needs to be done. This is what leads to mass adoption. Now, the financial institution is aiming for mass cryptocurrency acquisition and adoption, saying the addition of DOT to its list of supported digital assets would bring it closer to this goal. It's happening. It just doesn't happen overnight. It definitely takes time. And again, there's people who's been in this crypto space for over a decade. So if you're kind of new to it thinking, I just wish this would hurry up, it still may take a couple of years from here. But, again, there is that theory that we're in the super cycle, and so there's not going to be a bear market for quite some time. We could go into, years worth of upside before we find any downside. Now, I'm not sure about that. I definitely think it's a possibility. And again, don't take that as any financial advice, but that's something we need to consider. But as I've said before, I always have an option for, okay, if this happens, am I prepared for it on the way up, but also on the way down? So again, if you're seriously in profit in stuff, at least just take some profit. You don't have to take everything out. That's, your choice. And again, I never offer financial advice anyway, but just consider taking some of that money back. So if it, kind of dumps really hard, you haven't lost anything. And if there's a good dip and you think it's still going to go up, then you can buy back in at a cheaper price, hopefully. We always want to, again, have a plan A and a plan B, because if plan A doesn't work, then we have plan B. And you can even go down the rabbit hole of plan C, D, E, F, G, and all the rest of it. Generally, A and B is kind of enough, because you plan for the upside and you plan for the downside. All right, more ETFs. So the Brazilian stock exchange B3 has approved the first ETFs in Latin America, and leading to a new milestone for the market. More bullish news. Again, don't get too caught up in these retracements that we're having in the market. Just look at all this bullish news. It says everything. The Brazilian Securities and Exchange Commission, or CVM, approved 2 cryptocurrency ETFs this week. One was 100% Bitcoin, and the other composed of 5 cryptocurrencies in addition to BTC. I like that one with the 5. Don't get me wrong, I like the Bitcoin ETF as well, but I like the mixed bags one. It just gives you, when Bitcoin's not doing so well, hopefully these other altcoins are doing well, and these ETFs should perform better. Should in theory, not guaranteed though. So for QR Asset Manager of the Bitcoin only ETF, the product could accelerate the launch of a similar product in the United States, since the CVM, as well as the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, are part of the International Organization of Securities Commissions, or the IOSCO. God, that's a mouthful. I do think it's only a matter of time before the US ETFs and all the rest of it come out. It's not far away, and we've got a story about that actually. All right, Bank of Thailand. So after issuing a warning against a baht-peg stablecoin produced by South Korean-based firm, Thailand plans to introduce a series of regulations to stablecoins in 2021. So they've kind of, issued a warning against someone who's bringing out a stable coin, but now they are starting to bring in regulations for stable coins. So look, it's a matter of time. The dollar is going digital, the baht's going digital, you name it, whatever currency you're talking about, they're going digital. They can't not go digital. All the, big sort of first world movers are doing it. So, China's obviously started it. US is looking into it. Other companies will have other countries, not companies, will have no choice but to follow. Digital is the future, plain and simple. Unless there's some catastrophic event where, we lose the internet, it's just the way it's going to go. All right. Elon Musk, does he have nearly $5 billion worth of Bitcoin? So the founder of Skybridge Capital and former White House Director of Communications, Anthony Scaramucci, made a somewhat surprising statement earlier today saying that Elon Musk owns about $5 billion worth of BTC personally and through his companies. So Elon Musk's electric vehicle and clean energy giant Tesla made the news in February when it was revealed that the company had purchased $1.5 billion worth of BTC earlier this year. Now, though, Skybridge Capital's founder Anthony Scaramucci took to Twitter to assert that Musk didn't stop with only one BTC purchase for Tesla. Although he failed to provide sources, Scaramucci said, "I understand that SpaceX owns Bitcoin on its balance sheet." I have absolutely no doubt about that. I'm not saying I have inside information that it has happened, but of course he would have done that. Why would he just do it with Tesla? Furthermore, he believes that CEO of Tesla and SpaceX has bought some portions of the cryptocurrency for himself and owns over $5 billion through his companies and personally. I agree. I think he probably did exactly that. That tweet that came out from him asking about, can you move, large amounts of money in Bitcoin, and Michael Saylor's reply, and then all of a sudden, weeks later, it comes out that Tesla had bought, goes into show that this is most likely all completely true. I think Elon Musk owns a ton of Bitcoin, and I think he's going to be working on ways to mine Bitcoin efficiently through Tesla and their clean energy and all the rest of it. I think that's going to be something that's going to come out next. There's going to be green ways of mining it, and again, it's solar power, wind power, all those kind of things, using using our natural elements in nature. All right, speaking of Scaramucci, so Skybridge Capital, the firm run by former White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci, has filed for a Bitcoin ETF with Securities and Exchange Commission. The investment advisory firm has over $7 billion in assets under management. I don't know how to say that word. Eponymously named Skybridge Capital Bitcoin Fund grew to a size of $370 million within weeks of its January open. Again, more bullish news. I don't know how people can get too worried about these retracements. Yes, it's what we call consolidation. It's going to range for a while before it makes its next move up, and it's because of these stories that makes me think it's going to move up. The downward movement is absolutely possible, but I just think the dips are being bought at the moment, and they're being aggressively bought when they get down too low. And the wicks, we quickly go back to this. These wicks, the price gets pushed down, but it gets bought up so aggressively that's where the candle body can form, because everything under there just gets bought up too much. We can see it there, we can see it there, and again, all these wicks, they just get bought up. It's going to be very, very hard for someone to push the price of Bitcoin way down. It'd basically have to mean, a very large percent of people who've invested in Bitcoin suddenly decide, yes, now's the time to sell. That $100,000 mark, I think, is where we're going to see that kind of resistance. I think it'll be under 100. It'll be in the 90s likely, but might even come around that $84,000 mark. I think that's when a lot of people are going to go, yes, I'm happy to sell at least a reasonable portion of my Bitcoin. And I do think that it's possible, not saying it will happen, but possible, again, that we come from, maybe 100,000, again, probably more like sort of 94, 95,000, and come way back down, maybe close to 50,000. There's going to be a big drop when we get around about there. I think a lot of people will try to sell at those prices, and then a lot of people who got caught out buying at sort of 77,000 or something like that will likely panic sell, and that'll push it way down. I think that will be the first large correction that we have in the market, and I think it still goes up from there, though I don't think that will be the end. But look, in saying that, if we don't get close to the 100,000 until around sort of August, September this year, which is a very long way away, that may be the top. But yeah, we'll wait and see. All right, Coinbase. So Coinbase settles with CFTC for 6.5 million over old trading practices. So they've copped a bit of a fine. All right, crypto exchange Coinbase will pay 6.5 million in a settlement with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission over allegations the exchange self-traded digital assets. According to a consent order published by the commodities regulator on Friday, Coinbase self-traded a small amount of cryptocurrency between 2015 and 2018 through two of its trading programs. An employee of the exchange also allegedly wash traded some amount of Litecoin around that time. So Coinbase, that's a little bit dodgy, obviously getting caught out for doing the wrong thing. That's what happens with all these big businesses. When there's money involved, they can't help it. They'll always try and push the envelope. And if it were me or you to do it, we'd get slapped with a fine or possibly jail time that'd really hurt us. But $6.5 million fine to Coinbase, that'd be like someone, fining us $2 or $5 or $10, something very minuscule. Now, if you're from a third world country, $5 is probably not minuscule at all. I'm talking about for us in the developed nations. That's what that is. $6.5 million to Coinbase is absolutely nothing. It's literally like pocket change and won't stop them from doing it again. But anyway, I digress. We'll move on. All right, last but not least. So crypto mining stocks could keep beating Bitcoin in modern age digital gold rush. So over the past year, crypto mining stocks have outperformed Bitcoin. There we go. And the trend has accelerated since the cryptocurrency climbed past $20,000 a few months ago. According to the financial research firm Fundstat, the dynamic might hold if Bitcoin stays in a bull market, the firm predicts. I completely agree. I didn't know they were outperforming Bitcoin itself, but what I worry about is what happens in the bear market. So because miners play such a critical role in ensuring the Bitcoin network functions properly, investors have sought opportunities to gain exposure to mining companies which generate revenue in the form of mined Bitcoin. But look, even when the price goes down, they're still mining Bitcoin and they're still selling Bitcoin. So I'm sure they're still making a profit. It just won't be as much. This is a stock that I'm looking at getting into. Green energy stocks, they're stocks that I'm interested in. Cannabis stocks I'm interested in, but I need to find out, whether they're at all-time highs and things like that. And obviously cryptocurrency stocks as well. They're the stocks that I'm interested in getting into, and tech stocks. Some of the other stocks, not so much. All right, that's it from me. If I can get you to do me one favor before we finish up this video, can I please get you to go and hit the like button down below? It really helps with the algorithm. If I don't get people hitting the like button, it gets hard for my videos to be seen. And if you really enjoyed my content, go and subscribe as well and hit the bell icon to get notifications of when I upload, which I do daily. All right, stay safe, be kind to one another. If you're on that gain train, nice, you're doing well. There are some sort of small losses. We're having a little bit of a retracement. That can't be helped. But I'll see you next time.